Traveling as a vegan in Japan sucks. Yeah. There are amazing vegan restaurants and seemingly easy vegan options there. But what if you're traveling with non-vegans, small kids, or just simply cannot always spend an hour trying to figure out what to eat? Then this video is for you, and it's gonna cover all the things in Tokyo that you need to know about veg and fruits, my 4 most important foods, why you should like to survive, and I also have some quick recommendations for you as well. So let's go. Veggies and fruits are abundantly available and are of great quality and also very seasonable. For example, if you're traveling during winter and early spring, you'll get to eat the tastiest sweet potatoes ever. Make use of this and enjoy the seasonal goods because they are often fresher and cheaper than their other counterparts. As you might have heard of this, a lot of fruit can be expensive, but bananas and apples and other staples are cheap to get all throughout the year. If you have money to splurge on stuff like melons, you should do it at least once. Get a yubari or a couple of tasty mangoes for 50 bucks. I think it's a worthy experience at least once. But what I always loved over there are all the funky mushrooms with odd shapes, textures and flavors. These are the kind of things that I cannot really get in Copenhagen, and I'm always very happy to experiment with them when I'm over there. Yeah, aside from the obvious fact that I'm telling you that bananas are vegan in Japan, meticulously planning ahead will get you far in securing vegan food. For example, finding vegan restaurants near the shrines that you will visit, but sometimes that is simply not possible, and a man's gotta eat, right?
Man's gotta eat, Julian.
So let me show you the 4 horse people of my survival in Japan. Natto, Kagome juice, teas, tantan cup noodles, and salted rice balls. These things you can find literally anywhere in Tokyo, so if you're hungry or thirsty, just look for these and you'll be okay. Let's take a closer look at them. Natto, the fermented, sticky, stinky soybeans. You might have heard of it, and you might have even tasted it, but this is an absolute must for me when I'm in Japan. It is a great source of tanpakushitsu, aka protein. In a 50-gram serve, there's 8 grams of it, which is just amazing. The not so amazing thing is tare, which is the sauce that most natto comes with. It contains fish sauce, so you will have to replace this with soy sauce instead. Natto is super easy to prepare. Simply add soy sauce, then squeeze on the pack of karashi, which is spicy mustard, then mix it all together. It will start having this gooey consistency and you are good to go. You can put it on rice, make sushi with it, stir fries, or some people even put it on toast with cheese. Let me show you what that looks like. But that was not for me. Maybe it is for you. I eat natto every day when I'm over there, sometimes 2 packets a day. It's dirt cheap, available in convenience stores and supermarkets in the fridge, and there are so many brands of it that you can experiment with different ones. I know this is an acquired taste, it has a funky smell of it, but yeah, it's a great source of protein, so I think you should just dig in. And once you wash the polyfoam container, you can even recycle it. Kagome 100 juice. Me and these drinks are inseparable. At home, on the go, at work, in a hotel, it doesn't really matter. But who am I kidding? No one got time to mess around with the small package. Get the big one from the supermarkets. It's great, full of veg and fruit, and again, it's literally everywhere. It's called 100 because apparently it's 100% fruit and veg. There are different flavors available, but this one is my jam. It's extremely tasty. My main gripe with this is that the carton used to be 1 liter, but now they dropped it to 900 mils and they thought I wouldn't notice. But I did. Once you rinse them, the cartons are recyclable. Salted rice balls. Sound pretty boring, but the rice is cooked to an absolute perfection. It is somehow sticky and fluffy at the same time, and the great thing about it is that you can find this at all the konbinis and supermarkets. Use this as a base for certain foods, as you saw it with natto just before, or it goes super well with cup noodles. I guess I don't really need to tell you how to eat salted rice balls in Japan. Unfortunately, the plastic packaging is not recyclable. Tantan cup noodles. Yeah. You saw them on Happy Cow or on 1,000 other vegans must-to-do Tokyo list, but it is for a reason. These have a bunch of restaurants in Tokyo which are all great, but most importantly to this video, they also make tasty cup noodles. Tantan is super delicious and it goes well with the above mentioned rice balls, or just by themselves. They are available in natural Lawsons and in more posh supermarkets in Tokyo, and I tend to fill my suitcase with them when I'm leaving Japan. Don't judge. Unfortunately, not much of the packaging can be recycled. So now that we covered my 4 horse people, let me tell you why you should lie to survive in the restaurant. Alright, so what do you do when you are eating out in strictly non-veggie places? I would argue that you should just straight up lie about having allergies when doing that. People generally have no clue what veganism is, so do not expect the weight stuff in a regular place to be aware of your dietary choices. On top of that, something labeled vegetarian or plant-based can mean surprising things in the restaurant in Japan. So when I'm in doubt, I'd rather just stay hungry until the next rice bowl comes my way. Bigger restaurants or chains will have an allergen menu, maybe even available in English, so do ask for it. But if you're feeling adventurous in a non-vegan place, you can inform the restaurant staff that you're allergic to milk, fish, meat, honey, and then they will try to make sure that the food you're getting are free from all that stuff. This is not always going to be possible, and there might be some cross-contamination, but you know, if you're in a pinch, you might need to do this. For example, in a traditional soba restaurant, sometimes I get to eat cold noodles with a simple dipping sauce made of soy, shredded daikon, and ginger. The kitchen staff should be very capable of preparing something like this. It's not that complicated. Sometimes I even get slices of spring onions if I'm lucky. The reality is that you are most likely will end up eating some animal products by accident, but by lying about allergies can hopefully lower this risk. Now we covered most of the stuff that I wanted to talk to you about, but I have a couple of quick survival tips for you when you're in Tokyo. Bread sucks here, and it is not a horse people of mine. Most of them contain dairy, egg, honey, or completely unexpected and unexplainable animal-derived ingredients. So I was sticking to this variety from F&F, which has 0 oil, 0 egg, and 0 milk. They could also add 0 flavor to the sticker as well, because that is also non-existent in this, but I'm just glad to get some convenient carbs aside from rice. So while I do prefer to eat Japanese food in Japan, there is a limit of how much natto I can consume within a month. A lot. I must say that Starbucks has came to help me out on so many occasions when I was in a rush. They've been stepping up their vegan game big time with 2 savory and 2 sweet options, and of course some of the drinks can also be made vegan. This time around I stayed for around 6 weeks in Tokyo, and I ate way too many of these donuts to confess on camera, so I'm not gonna do that. The whole point of this video was to actually show you some of these things that you can literally buy almost anywhere, but I have a couple of shops that I wanted to show you because they are a little bit better than others. Natto or Lawson. You probably have heard of it. It's a small convenience store. If you haven't, Google it, it's great. They have many options for us. Maruetsu, a supermarket. The big ones will have things like Oatly milk and Beyond Tofu vegan cheese, for example. And of course, they have a crazy amount of fruits and veg that's gonna be available for you. Bon, BOC Bon, I always mess up the name, I think it's BOC Bon. A fancy French supermarket that has a lot of great and clear labeled food items for vegans. For example, you can buy the tea tantan cup noodles that I showed you just before as well. A great place, but it is not cheap. And it's a shame that organic produce needed to be bought at a place like this, which is out of many people's budget. But if you want to splurge on some loose red lentils in Tokyo for some reason, then this is the place for it. F&F, a small chain of health food stores around Tokyo. They got the 0 bread from above that I showed you. They also store some vegan noodles and some other random stuff depending on the shop itself. And this one was super surprising for me, so I'm very happy to tell you about Tokyu Supermarket. This was the absolute MVP of supermarket on my last trip. Frankly, their offering were quite shocking in a good way. Several types of vegan cheese, vegan curries, vegan milks, vegan snacks. I was absolutely blown away. It was just great. I never knew they got so many different things in stock for us. If you're near the Toyoko train line, they have them at several stations such as Gakugei Daigaku, Yutenji or Nakameguro. Now I showed you a lot of the good stuff, let me complain a little bit about the labeling in the shops. There is unfortunately no overarching labeling system available in Japan that we have in Europe, so this lack of standardization leaves up to guesswork. And I think this is why it's so hard to be a vegan in Japan or in Tokyo. Labeling here just plain sucks. Even if you would be able to read the kanjis on the labels, there are so many additives or ingredients added to the food that have animal produce in them. For example, sugar that is whitened with bone char. But the problem is that manufacturers are not required by law to be labeled on the product. Even if you would be able to ask the staff at the supermarkets to tell you if something contains dairy, they might not be able to answer you that. A huge kudos goes out to the team over at Veggie Project that is pushing to change this. They are pushing to have a clear labeling system, and they are also raising awareness about vegan foods in Japan. I remember they just started out when I was still living in Tokyo, and now their non-profit got so far that more and more products have their certification, which clearly states if a product is vegan. For example, this coffee that you can buy at Tokyu stores and some 7-Elevens. Or look at this curry, which is quite nice as well, and it was clearly labeled vegan. This is amazing work, and I'm so glad to see them grow and succeed. Complaining is done. I hope that this video was useful and not so discouraging. If you travel with a group of vegans, you will have an amazing culinary experiences in Tokyo. But as mentioned, this gets more and more complicated if you're in a mixed group of people or when you're in a rush. I've been looking at veggie food in Japan for about 10 years now, and in some ways it has changed for the better so much, but it is clearly lagging with offerings behind other places such as Europe or the US. Let me know if you have any other further questions in the comments, and I hope that you enjoy your visit in Tokyo. It should be awesome, aside if you go in summer. Don't go in the summer because that's hell. But I said complaining was done, so okay, bye!